Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm excited to try out for the very first time and also share the results with you about a $22 eyeshadow palette and how it performs. And this $22 eyeshadow palette is not just any ordinary eyeshadow palette, but a dupe for a luxury high-end palette which costs $129. And yes, it's jaw-dropping to think that there are actually eyeshadow palettes that cost that much money. So if you have mature skin like I do and are over 50, over 60, over 70 or beyond, please stay tuned so together we can see how well this $22 eyeshadow palette performs and if it might be worth purchasing. If you're new to this channel, please let me express a special welcome. My name is Elise and I'm a professional working makeup artist who specializes in helping those of us over 50 look and feel our most radiant and confident best. So if you love being a grandmother but don't want to look like a grandmother, you've come to the right place. We can't stop the aging process, but we can take steps to help us feel more vibrant and revitalized. And that's what this channel is all about. You'll find new videos on my channel every Thursday, and I hope you'll join our really wonderful family of subscribers. And if you also hit that bell icon below the video and to the right, you'll be notified each time a new video is available. And I thank you so much in advance if you choose to do so. So let's dive into our topic today. This is the eyeshadow palette, which is a $22 dupe. Let me show it to you. This is what the outside looks like, and here's what it looks like on the inside. It's the Artemis palette from a brand called Alter Ego, and it's a dupe for the $129 Metropolis palette from Natasha Denona. Alter Ego has created dupes of 3 other Natasha Denona palettes: the Natasha Denona 15-pan Gold palette, the 15-pan Biba palette, and the 15-pan Sunrise palette. Let me show you what each of these Natasha Denona palettes looks like. Here's what the Gold palette looks like. Here's the Biba palette, and here's the Sunrise palette. And this is the Natasha Denona palette for which the Artemis palette is a dupe. Now I do have to say that I absolutely love Natasha Denona palettes. I think the formulations of her shadows are truly exceptional. They're not only easy to apply, but they blend together like a dream. I do have 2 of her palettes which I was able, luckily, to get on sale. One is the Lila palette, which is absolutely stunning, and I love it. Let me show it to you. Here's the Natasha Denona Lila palette. And the other larger palette I'm going to show you, which I also got on sale, is called the Tropic palette. I think the colors in that palette make you think of a tropical vacation. Isn't it gorgeous? I really do love these shadows from the Tropic palette. The only unfortunate thing about this palette is that the gorgeous eyeshadow colors that are on the bottom row, which are the bright colors, are a little bit more challenging to work with. But one of Natasha Denona's other palettes, which I'd always been interested in and which I don't have, unfortunately, is her larger 28-pan palette, the Metropolis palette. But I frankly just couldn't bring myself to spend that much money on this palette. $129. But I recently heard about the $22 dupe for this Metropolis palette, and I couldn't resist purchasing it so we could take a look at it together and see how it performs. And before we get into the color swatches and the 2 eye makeup looks that I'll be doing with this Artemis palette, let me share with you a little bit more background information on the palette. In case you're curious about the name of the palette, Artemis, as many of you I'm sure are aware, it comes from the Greek religion. Artemis was the goddess of wild animals and also the hunt, vegetation, chastity, as well as childbirth. She was the daughter of Zeus. And all the names of the colors in this palette relate to the whole theme of the hunt, such as snare, camouflage, stealth, and chase. There are a variety of different eyeshadow formulas, and the mattes are creamy rather than powdery, which is also true of the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. The shimmers and metallics in this Artemis palette perform especially well. The mirror is also really good quality for an inexpensive palette like this, and it does feel quite substantial. And it really is a lovely packaging of this palette. The eyeshadow pans are magnetic and can be popped out, so you can customize and create your own palette if you wish to do so. The colors are incredibly similar to the Metropolis palette, as you probably saw, but I'm very curious to see how these dupes actually perform on the eyes. Now, since I don't have the Metropolis palette, I can't swatch the colors from both of these palettes so we can compare them next to each other. But I will say that when I've seen others compare the colors side by side, they're incredibly close. But the colors from the Natasha Denona palette are more intense. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to swatch all of the colors in the Alter Ego Artemis palette for you so you can see the range of colors and the tones of these colors. Here are the first 12 colors. And here are the next 7 colors. As you can see, the metallics swatch incredibly well and they're extremely pigmented. And here are the last 8 colors in the palette. And once again, you're going to see the ones that really stand out are the metallics. So it's a little hard to get all those colors on my arms, but I hope it gave you at least some idea of the color range. And let me show you the colors in the palette one more time. Now let's see how these shadows actually perform on the eyes. I'm going to try a different look on each eye so we can test out more than just a few colors. I'm going to use the warm tones on the far right side of the palette for my first eye look. Because the color payoff isn't quite as strong with some of these shades, I wanted to have eye primer on for sure because that helps intensify the pigment color. I'm starting off with Trap, which is the lightest of the orange colors on the far right side of the palette. Just going to put that in my crease area. Going in for a second dip just to build up that color a little bit. And then after I've deposited most of the color on the crease, I'm going to carry up what's left over on the brush up toward my eyebrow, which gives a nice gradation of color. Now I'm going to go into Snare, which is a slightly darker version of that color I just applied. Put that in the crease. As you can see, it's a deeper version. And then I'm going to blend that out as well. Next, I'm going to take Conquer, which is more of a metallic color, and I'm going to put just a little bit of that again in that crease area. And when you blend out a color that has some shimmer or a metallic, you really lessen the amount of color payoff that you have. Next, I'm taking the color Quiver, which is sort of a light olive brown. I'm going to put that in the front and slightly on top of the orange. Then on my eyelid area toward the outer edge, I'm going to put a little bit of a deep orange gold. Here's the color I'm using. It's called Pounce. Ooh, and as you can see, the metallics really show up. That is a really pretty color. Then I'm taking a lighter shade along this line in a metallic and going toward the inner corner of my eye. This one is called Stalk. Because that was a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be, I'm going to go in with a much lighter color and blend it out a bit. I'm going in with the color Obscure on the inner part of my eyelid. Then I'm going in with my matte Vanilla, and I'm just going to lighten up that area, especially the inner corner. Then I want to get a little bit of depth in the outer corner, so I'm going to go with a deeper color there. I'm putting the color Bow on a flat brush, and this is a blue. Oranges and blues complement each other, so this will be a really interesting color combination, I think. I'm just stamping this color Bow on the outer eyelid area and the outer crease. And because this doesn't have a lot of payoff in the color, I'm going to go over it several times. Now I'm using my fluffy blending brush to blend this out a little bit. Then I'm going back with the color Obscure, putting it on the center of my eyelid just to give a little bit more emphasis to the eye area and open it up a bit. Then I'm going back in with my Laura Geller Matte French Vanilla color just on the inner corner. And I'm also taking the French Vanilla color just under the arch of my brow too, and softening out the edges of the orange. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to do to this eye. I'm going to do the other eye and then I'll put eyeliner and mascara on both of them at the same time. So here's the final look of this eye. On the other eye, I'm going to start off by combining two different colors, Lure and Quiver. It's a lighter and then a more medium color brown. I'm going to put that in the crease area of my eye. Then I'm taking the color Stealth. I'm going to put this just on the outer crease. And this is a green, sort of a hunter green color. I'm going back in with Quiver and Lure, which are the brownish tones. Depositing most of it in the crease area and then taking it up toward the eyebrow. And I'm taking more of Stealth, putting it on my outer lid, bringing it up to create the backward 7. And then I'm going to blend. Then I'm taking my matte Laura Geller French Vanilla and putting it across my entire lid area, just patting it on. And also bringing it up and around with what's left over on my brush. Then I'm taking the color Pursuit on this flat brush, and I'm going to have some fun with this metallic color, which really has a lot more payoff in the outer corner of my eye. And then once again, I'm going to blend. As you can see, this is somewhat of a deeper look on this eye with the deeper greens and the browns. And once again, I'm going to take my French Vanilla and soften it going all the way around. I'm going to take the browns and just go along the outer edge of this eye and meet it up with this color here so it brings it all together. And the other eye, I'm taking a little bit of Bow just along the outer edge, and again, I'm connecting it with the outer corner. And do some final blending. Tilt my head back to sort of see if everything's blending in together. Let me show you the final look on this eye. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply some eyeliner as well as mascara, and then I'll be right back for the very final look. I went ahead and added Age Perfect brown eyeliner to both eyes. I made it a little bit heavier on this eye since this is a more dramatic look over here. And on this eye, which is a softer look, I really softened the look of the eyeliner with some eyeshadow. And on this lid, I also added a little bit more of Snare toward the outer corner of the lid and toward the center. And then I added also a little bit of the metallic shade Conquer. And then of course, I also put on mascara on both the upper lashes as well as the bottom lashes. So now let's take a look at the final eyeshadow look on both of my eyes. I also wanted to show you the difference in what happens when you use a metallic color and you apply it in different ways. I took the color Pounce, which is a gorgeous metallic, and at the top I just applied it with a brush. The middle application was with my finger, and then the bottom application I put on some eye primer first, and then with my finger I applied the Pounce over it. You can see there's a very different look to each way you apply that eyeshadow. The one at the bottom with the eye primer is a little bit brighter and shows up just a little bit more than the other two. So let me take a moment to summarize and share with you some of my thoughts on this palette. The pans, as you might expect with a less expensive palette, are smaller and thinner than the pans in the typical Natasha Denona palettes. I do love the variety of colors in this palette, but as with the Metropolis palette, most of the colors are in the mid-tone range to a little bit deeper. It would be wonderful to have a few lighter colors in this palette as well. There's a wide range of formulations as well, as I mentioned earlier, and the mattes are creamy rather than powdery, so they aren't quite as easy to apply and blend as a more powdery shadow, but they still work very well. The metallic and shimmer colors are absolutely gorgeous and really perform the best, I think, of any shadows in the palette. My one disappointment is that the darker blues and the deep green colors swatch and apply far lighter and brighter than you would think from how they look in the pans. I really was hoping for some beautiful, deep, rich blues and greens. And there's really no deep brown or black to provide outer corner eyeshadow depth. From what I've heard and seen, apparently the dark blues and the green colors in the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette look and apply deeper and richer than the colors in the Alter Ego Artemis palette. And the Natasha Denona dark blues and greens can also perform well as outer color corners to give an eye look at a depth. Overall, Alter Ego's Artemis palette is really beautiful with a wide range of formulations and a good range of shades. It has some beautiful oranges, blues, greens, gorgeous metallics in all different shades, and it has a variety of different gold metallics with different undertones. But I do find it necessary to pair this palette with another palette that gives me some lighter and deeper colors to work with. I hope this information was helpful, and if so, please give this video a thumbs up. Giving a video a thumbs up is a great way to help a channel grow, since YouTube then suggests videos that receive a lot of thumbs up to other people. So your support of my channel in this way would be so greatly appreciated. So I'm curious what you thought of this Artemis $22 dupe palette from Alter Ego. I'd love to know if you've tried it or would be interested in trying it, so let us know in the comments section below. And I have to say, since I just finished reading a really wonderfully written book called Doc by Mary Doria Russell about the Old West figure Doc Holliday, which, by the way, I would totally recommend. It's a great book. And since the Lawman Wyatt Earp also figures prominently in the book, I started thinking about old television series. So I thought it would be fun to share with each other today a couple of our favorite TV series from the past. My husband and I just finished watching DVDs of the series The Rockford Files with James Garner, which we absolutely loved. And this is really going back a way, but I also remember being glued to the TV set every week for Twilight Zone. And I have to confess that I had a huge crush on George Maharis, who co-starred in Route 66. I'm curious if any of you have fond memories of any of these series, or perhaps some others. Anyway, I thought it might be fun to share some of our favorites with each other, so I'd love to know what your favorites are in the comments section below. Thank you so much for giving me the gift of your time today. I really appreciate it. And I do so hope that you stay happy and healthy and have an absolutely fabulous rest of your day. Take care.